It's like someone promising you something which can never be delivered. It's asking that question. The same with Adam and Eve, I mean, there's Adam and Eve caught inside the wood. The myth is about this poisonous apple which Eve had given to Adam and original sin came into it. So really, I mean, I was looking at that where these two figures are totally huddled up, encased within the tree, totally involved with each other, but trapped because of this stupid story. More importantly, there's other myths which are used, like the Icarus myth. It's a Greek myth where he's the man who tried to fly to the sun out of wings made out of feathers, which were joined together with bits of wax. And as he got too near the sun, he was trapped in a tower, basically, you see, and he tried to fly. But as he got too near the sun, the heat of the sun melted the wax on his wings and he came crashing down to earth. There's a painting in that room which is an abstract painting of this arrow coming down. The painting is just called The Fall of Icarus. There's a sculpture just around the corner of the fallen angel. What looks like an angel with two figures holding him up, that's Icarus. There's another two sculptures upstairs in black wood, of sort of Icarus flying. So it's a myth again which I've been really interested in. The message in the story is basically don't aspire towards things which aren't going to happen. You might fail, but unless you have ambitions and unless you go for these things, they're never going to happen anyway. So you might, okay, Icarus did not succeed. So you can fault him with his method, but you can't fault him for having those dreams. Dream, aspire, hope for things, but the important thing is try and work out methods of getting to these dreams in a practical route which offers you some degree of success. But there is a more realistic, more plausible idea of dreaming, being ambitious, wanting to make something of yourself. And I suppose in that sense, my life actually is a reflection of that kind of ideal. Many years ago, I decided I was a sculptor and I wasn't prepared to compromise. There was lots of hardship, lots of struggle, but all the time I knew what I wanted to do and kept on working at it. And at least I'm still doing it. So I'm quite glad about that.
Do you have any particular artist influence, or is it mainly religious and cultural tradition?
I've got no sort of heroes as such in terms of artists. I mean, there's lots of artists who I admire. Probably for me, it would be Picasso. Everything he touched was just full of life, full of meaning, full of expression. He could take a bicycle seat and stick a handlebar on it and it was a bull's head. It was that kind of magic. He was a magician in that, he was a transformer. So I have a lot more respect for people like that than Damien Hirst, go around pickling sharks. I haven't got a lot of room for sort of what you call conceptual art, which is in the head. I've always liked art from different parts of the world, so I've got quite a liberal taste in things I like.
When you do like a carving, do you do one at a time or you do loads?
Well, even now I suppose I've got 2 or 3 on the go. I don't consider this to be my most prolific period, like the last 2 years. But certainly during the chunk of my working life, I'd just get up in the morning, come in the studio, and I'd be working here till 9 or 10 in the evening. Most days, 7 days a week. I'd have 3 or 4 or 5 pieces on the go. If you're just working on one piece and it gets to the point where it's very fine detailed work, it's difficult to concentrate on just that kind of fine work for day in, day out, hour in after hour. Whereas if you've got other things on the go and you work on the next piece or another piece where it's only just starting, so you can actually take out big lumps and do some hefty work, But also sometimes the ideas relate to each other. So one piece leads on to the next piece which you're working on to the next, and so on.
How long does it take to make something like that, for example?
It might take you a few days just to do the designing, but once you've got the design and you've got the block of wood, you clean up the piece of wood so it's a uniform shape like that all the way across, and then you literally draw your buildings on an outline. And then you know where your figure starts. And then, I mean, it could take a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks, every day, for something that small. Because when you get down to doing the really fine work, like cutting out all the tiny little windows, it can be a very slow process.
When you first started carving, did you thought you'd have been a professional? You'd have been like a big professional?
No, not at all. I mean, I hadn't even thought of being an artist or anything, really. I mean, I still don't really think of myself as an artist. When I first started doing it, it was,
Hobby.
well, it was just for fun. Because at that time I was doing a lot of acting, also working with kids, making films, and I was playing a lot of music. I liked the idea of actually having my own space where I didn't have to work with other people or share my ideas with anyone else. I could just develop them completely on my own and be totally self-sufficient. That way of living actually displaced the things I was doing which involved working with other people until all the other things went and I was just left with this.
What gave you an idea of doing this, like the building?
The commission was for Birmingham, right? So it's in a city's landscape. The idea of that was the life going on in the city. And that's called circular dance. Because it's basically like all human life, a mother with a baby, couple sort of cuddling and kissing as if they were at a bus stop or something, or dad with a kid on his back moving along and the city rising from the middle. This one's called Stargazer. It's like, okay, there's a city there, but you know, the phoenix rising from the ashes. It's that sort of an idea. So the woman is rising out of it, looking for freedom, you know, soaring above the trappings of the city life. Just the idea of people, urban environment, you know, human life within cities, which are completely artificial in a way, how they work together.
If you had a chance to get back to painting, would you do it?
I stopped painting when I really got into sculpture. It's almost like the two couldn't coexist. I mean, maybe I might get back into painting, but I like the physical activity of sculpture, you know. I mean, I am a physical person. Painting was okay while I had no space. I was living in a small flat. But once I got into sculpture, you know, I just found the whole idea of handling three-dimensional things, handling tools, just quite fascinating, really. Also, I think sculpture is more real than painting, because painting is just an illusion.
You see these sculptures, do you get any influence from your family?
I come from a large family, there's 7 kids. I think maybe my, not obsession, but my interest in family groups, mother and child, must have something to do with the fact that I just come from a large family. I used to plan my sculptures in bed, lying in bed, and then it got to the point where I'd have an idea about something, and I just had to get up and come down to the studio and start drawing it out and planning it in case I forgot it overnight. It used to happen quite a lot.
Working here, or do you use your environment?
No, I mean, this is my studio, but when I'm working on really large things, some of them were done at the very bottom of the garden. But then I've also done installations, you know, on site, where the whole thing is created from scratch. I mean, there used to be one in Walsall Arboretum. That was part of the Icarus project, so we just used to take everything with us and just build it all completely on site. Right from day one, I've always liked a studio which has got an ambience, you know, which reflects the kind of materials I work with, the kind of ideas I work with, and I'm a natural hoarder of things. I mean, everywhere you look, you'll find bits and pieces, bits of stone, bits of wood, bits of bark, things with interesting shapes, textures, because they're all quite stimulating in their own way. And somehow they feed back into your work.
I got the idea of sort of cloaking a figure, but it still being able to show that it was a figure at some point. So I did like this piece, and I put an arm on the side, but it got fired and the arm flew away. So I did a slightly bigger version because I like this one, but I wanted it to be taller because I didn't think that looked enough like a human form because it was too short. So I did it slightly bigger, and hopefully the arm won't blow off this time. And it's still the idea of cloaking, and this time I've actually put the gap in the middle where as I progress I'll start putting things inside there, so the cloak actually does hide something inside. The kind of idea was that people sort of hide their emotions and things behind clothes and outside appearances and stuff. And so the whole cloaking effect is supposed to be that. And so I've kind of done the body part, and now I've got to try and do the soul part, what will go inside my piece.
I'm going to show that the way the tree will be standing and how the branches will be coming out and the texture of it on going all the way around. I got a big piece of clay and rolled it out to about 2 centimeters thick. I went out to the spinny and I pressed it against a tree, and I got the tree effect here with the texture of a tree. And these were the bumpy bits, the bits that went in, and they kind of look like people. So I just kind of enhanced on that by making them look like people.
At first I was going to just do 2 things reaching out for a quest. Then I thought back to back, and I got told that the egg looks like a bolt and things like that. So now I'm just experimenting what works best. I was thinking about putting them back to back. I would have tested out if something heavy was on the back of it and it stands. You have to make sure, like, when you're doing the legs, you have to scale it properly, because otherwise when they're different sizes to the body, it looks deformed. So I had to kind of measure it. I used a book to measure the legs and stuff. So then it's easier once you've got the right sizes.
I've still got the idea of things opening up. Oh yeah, I finished the cupboard that I did. Okay, you know the Juginder, he made that one where the body's opening up. Well, I'm going to do something different where the guy actually opened up with his hands. I don't think the guy did that in the model.
When we were in the art gallery, I said the city is going to be represented by buildings, but I realized it would be too complicated to do the buildings, so I changed it to animals. That both cities has like this sculpture of an animal in the middle of the city. So I decided to do the lion for Budapest and the bull for Birmingham. This is my lion that I've done on Tuesday. I thought this was a bit too small, so when I started to do the bull, I thought I'm going to do it bigger, so this is my bull so far.
Juginder did like that person splitting in half, so I decided to do a face splitting in half, and on one side you got a man's, well I tried to do, on the other I tried to do a woman's. Well, Icarus was like trapped in a tower, so I made the guy trapped and gave him wings, even though the wings can't help him escape because they're not big enough. And I've cut out his heart because it shows his heart in it. You don't want to escape.
Well, I got the idea of fetuses. I've made 2 models. I've gone on, it's just going to be pretty much like this, except one of the ideas was to have part of the fetus missing and some of the soul going towards it, like creating it. Hopefully I should have a little fetus with half a head.
Well, I wanted to do